Hi, Kevin Keller, field agronomist with Pioneer out of South Central Nebraska. Just want to visit with you quick about termination of cover crops here as we head into spring. So some of the benefits that we've seen with cover crops, especially in this area, would be prevention of erosion. Like last year with all the wind erosion that we saw, it was a great help to prevent against some of the sandblasting, building up of organic matter, breaking up a compaction. We have not seen the freeze-thaw cycles over the last several winters, so compaction is becoming a greater concern all the time. Additional weed suppression, and also for the livestock producers out there, the ability to graze. Some of the inherent risks that we do see with cover crop is they can be a host for several pests. Seed corn maggot and wireworm are two that I'm not typically as concerned about just because our seed treatments do a fairly good job with that. However, if we do have high pressure, it's something to definitely be aware of and look for. We can see armyworm and wheat stem maggot as two that can move in. Certainly, like last year, we saw quite a bit of the wheat stem maggot move in. Where we see higher risk is when we have a lot of biomass, late termination, especially when we are planting into that cover crop green. So last year in 2025, pretty widespread outbreak of wheat stem maggot. We have seen this in the past. It's not typically something that we would expect to see. It's been pretty sporadic over the years, but the two things that were in common last year with the outbreaks is that we were planting into those cover crops green, and we did not have an insecticide in the presence of that pest. So those were the two combinations where we saw the greatest outbreaks in 2025. Over the last couple of years or last several years, some of the best management practices that we've seen is let's make sure we get out and terminate that crop a couple of weeks ahead. If we're using traditional chemical burn down with especially glyphosate, we got to give it time. The number one goal is to have that cover crop brown as the corn is coming up green. We want to make sure that we're scouting for pests, understand what might be out there, avoid planting into a green cover crop when possible, or at least know the risk. So we may have some scenarios where maybe we're using strip till and planting into green, just to understand the risk of doing that. Consider also that we have been using more moisture with the cover crop. We're already going into a dry spring. This may be a case in point where we're going to make sure that we're pre-watering, make sure we're getting a good seed bed established ahead of planting, and also the carbon and nitrogen ratio. We do have a little bit of penalty with nitrogen. We don't want to starve that crop early. So being aware of all these things will make us more successful with our cover crops as we head into spring here this year. And with that, I appreciate your time for this agronomy update.
That concludes this Pioneer Agronomy video podcast. Visit our page on pioneer.com and follow us on Twitter and Facebook for more agronomy insights.